She was 28 years old when she walked off the plane in 1958 at Lahore Airport. She was called for service here at Sacred Heart School in Lahore, Pakistan. Little did she know at the time that some 35 years later, she would be the principal of the school. And then in 2022, she would still be the reigning principal of the school, having spent more than 63 years of her life in service in a foreign land, maybe not so much foreign anymore. She lives the legacy of the 5 nuns who initially were called to Pakistan when the Great Famine happened at the end of the 19th century. They devoted their lives to the orphans to help them out and ultimately laid the foundations of Sacred Heart School, now running in its 117th year. Words like integrity, honesty, simplicity, discipline, unity embody the ideals that she believes in, has lived her life by, and preaches to her students and those who she ends up influencing in any manner. It's an amazing life of an unsung hero. She's done so much for the school, and I personally admire the way she's been able to progressively bring the school along and make changes to keep it current and as well respected as it always was. Her lifelong service was awarded by the government of Belgium in the form of knighthood in the Order of the Crown. What a fine example of humility and simplicity.
Many of us have had our earlier education at convents. Sacred Heart Convent is one of those. And today I have the distinct privilege to speak to the principal, Sister Martin, who is also the last foreign nun for the convent here in Pakistan. She has inspired us in many ways. Myself, many of my acquaintances, and those in the broader circle with her boundless energy, her fun-loving spirit, her competitiveness. She's taught us a lot. I struggle with trying to introduce somebody like that. You know, there's your typical role model that inspires you, who inspires you and makes you want to be the best person that you are. But then there's that next category of people whose lives embody sacrifices and principles that you can't even imagine putting yourself in those shoes. That's the category Sister Martin falls under. So here she is with me, and we're going to have a conversation with her. Where do we start?
I don't know.
How about the beginning of your journey, becoming a nun? What goes through somebody's mind when you make a move like that, a life-changing move like that?
Well, I suppose it's something that's embedded in you, really, because ever since I was a child, I wanted to be a nun.
Really?
Well, yes and no. Not a nun. I didn't want to like nuns, but something to give myself to Jesus, you see. And it took, I wanted to do that when I was about 19, to enter at 19, but my aunt died, and she was my mother's only sister. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, it was appropriate at that time. And so I waited till I was 22. But I had a no from my parents,
really?
No from my father. Mm. He was very adamant, and he said no. But Mummy got around him.
Really? So
yes.
She was your supporter?
Yes. And so here I am, a part of the life. And
were the earlier years hard? Like, was it what you thought it would be?
No, it wasn't really.
Really?
No. We had a fun, loving spirit, and no, I didn't find it hard. No, I didn't find it hard at all.
What about later on? I mean, there was never a time where you felt that giving up all the what we perceive as fun and I mean, I thought you guys had such a rigid schedule. You wouldn't come to any sort of parties, even when some of the students would invite you.
No.
How?
No.
That's why I say you guys are special people. I mean, it's a different category of person who gives all that up so readily. I mean, I try to fast in the month of Ramadan, and that's tough on me personally.
Yes, I believe it. So it'll be tough on me too.
When you say ever since you were a child you wanted to do this, why? Like, what was it as a child that you felt such a strong need for service?
Well, it was an attraction from we used to go to what we call benediction. And on Sundays, and that I had, I don't know, inspiration or something like that at that time. Yes.
So at 21, you took on this new life, right? 22. And then this was where? What's the geography here, and how did you end up here?
Well, because I wanted to go on the missions.
Okay.
And actually I wanted to go to Congo.
Okay.
Yes, but they didn't send me there because of the language.
Okay.
And they sent me to Pakistan. I wasn't all that keen on India, that sort of thing. And but I've been very, very happy. And of course, when we came, there were lots of foreign nuns. And
I've had the privilege of being taught by many of those. Sister Marcelita, Sister Gonzaga.
Yes.
Sister Noeli.
Yes. And now I've been the only one since 92.
Yes, and still the principal.
Well, I had Juliet does most of the work for me. I sort of just sign on dotted lines and give a few inspirations and ideas, don't I?
There's a couple of things that stand out for me for Sacred Heart and the way you guys operated in this society. One of those is it's always been a male-dominated society, but you were somehow able to, with a lot of integrity, run the school. Nobody with a lot of influence could influence you or influence their way into an admission, right? How did you stand up to people like that? I mean,
well, I didn't come across too much of that. And well, they seemed to accept that what we said was law. Sort of thing. And
stayed out of your way, basically.
Yes. One or two. I didn't really come across anybody who was aggressive.
Okay.
And demanding.
Culturally, what were some of the surprises when you came to Pakistan?
Lack of birds.
Lack of birds?
I wanted to see these beautiful coloured birds. And I looked around and when I landed, you've no idea what the Karachi airport was.
Tell me.
As for the Lahore airport, wasn't an airport at all.
Have you visited Lahore airport recently, by the way?
Yeah, well,
what was
4 years ago.
4 years ago. It's come a long way.
Yes.
So has Karachi airport.
Yes. I haven't seen Karachi airport, but for a long time, because we used to go straight from here to Dubai or somewhere.
Have you felt any change in the way people think? Have you seen, for somebody who spent their entire life as an observer, right, of a society and was foreign to the society, have you seen any mind shift changes, schools of thought? Because I moved away after my marriage, right? I live in the US, and we see ourselves as sort of, at this point, expats too, right? We're not really living in the country. But we think about, has the country changed? Have things improved? Do people think differently? Does the youth think differently? What are your views on that?
Well, I find that this has changed an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
Integrity is practically out.
That's sad.
It is very sad. And although our children, I must say, what we expect of them, they will do.
Mm-hmm. And you mean old students of Sacred Heart when you say
no,
our
even
children?
the present ones.
Okay.
And there is a difference between our children and others. It seems very nice to say, but there is.
What is your view on education? What do you think education is?
The whole personality has to be educated. It's not just the brain, it's the whole personality. And if you're not concentrating on that, then I think it's useless.
I've personally been inspired by is that the school, is essentially of Christian background, and meanwhile the majority of the students are Muslims. And what's the rationale behind that? Like, what is the level of dedication here that you come to a country, you took on a nun's life in the name of your faith, and you're here educating girls of another faith with so much interest and with such great intentions that part is really special. How does the school embody that spirit? It's truly service to humanity, right?
Yes.
Without regard to everything else.
Yes, it is. Because we came for teaching, and so our whole emphasis is on teaching. It's not trying to get people to think in the same way as we think, and that sort of thing.
I mean, I thought you had a lot of respect for the other faith, right? You had a lot of respect for Islam.
You have to.
Yeah.
You can't come and say you're the boss. That's it. That's not the way of doing things, is it?
I mean, I got my share of Islamic education here in this school as well, because typically onlookers would not view that as something you'd get out of a convent education, but we did. And that's special, and I think that's something that should be brought out, that there's a lot of respect for the faith, and there's attention to the need to educate those students on their faith. And you guys did that very well.
Yes, because people used to think that we didn't. They said it's a convent school, and what about your Islamic principles? So I said, well, we taught them just the same.
Do you have anything to say about your staff?
Which staff? Our staff?
Our staff.
Oh, fantastic! They're fantastic. I wouldn't change one of them.
Oh.
They're wonderful people, and so dedicated, and so committed, and everything. I'm very lucky. I cannot say how lucky I am in having such a wonderful staff that I have. Isn't that so?
Yes.
They'll do anything. They're wonderful people.
What are some of the values of Sacred Heart that you'd like to share? Here are some of the things we focus on, instilling.
Simplicity.
Yes.
Simplicity.
Truly, yes.
Is our hallmark. And I think it's not an exaggerated simplicity. It's something that comes naturally, and
hard work is the second one, I would say.
Hard work. I know one teacher said, I have no fear of the children because they learn to work hard from this stage. As I say, with our children, there's something that's embedded in them that, what we expect of them, they will do.
You've seen a lot of dear ones depart. Like, I can think of a few that were special and close to me, like Sister Gonzaga and Sister Marcelita, and Sister Noeli, Sister John, who was my math teacher. How has that been? Like, do you feel lonely?
I suppose so, because not everybody leaves at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The last one today was Sister John, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was quite a while ago, right?
yes, in 92, wasn't it? 92? When did I become principal? I've forgotten. 92.
Any life lessons worth sharing? As an individual, as a nun, as a principal of a school?
I want you to be the best possible person that you can possibly be.
Oh, want to be the best possible person that you can possibly be.
Not somebody else, but you.
Excellent. The best version of yourself.
Yes, yes.
And that would be a very good note to end this. I hope everyone who's had a chance to listen to this enjoyed this. It was a pleasure to spend some time with you, Sister Martin, and I wish you many, many more years of a healthy life.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. And I wish that to you too.
Thank you.